Hello everyone. Today we will be going through some HTML basics and you will be creating your very first website using HTML. The first is what is HTML? Then we will go through some basic syntax and third we will make a local website that you can load in your browser. One thing to keep in mind is that we are not going to go through any CSS or JavaScript today. So this website that we are going to make is going to be pretty basic. Let's get started. What is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's a way of displaying information on web pages in your browser. One thing to remember is that HTML isn't itself a programming language, it's just a markup language. Programming language like PHP or Java use things like logic and conditions to control the content that you see. HTML doesn't do these things, but it's extremely important. You can actually create an HTML file on your computer and load it in your browser. It won't be on the internet, so only your local computer can view it. To create your HTML file, open up your computer's file program. In Windows, that's the File Explorer, and on Mac, it's Finder. In the program, go to your desktop. Now let's open Visual Studio Code. I'm using this to do our website today. And Visual Studio Code is nothing but an editor like Notepad, Word, etc. You can watch our previous video on how to install and work on Visual Studio Code, and I will link the video in the description below. Now just give open folder and create a directory. Inside the directory, create a new file called index.html. Once the file is created, right click and give reveal in Finder. This will open the file directory location and double click to see it in the browser. We are going to keep both the editor. I'm going to write something here. This is my first website. And hello world included in between a tag. Let's load the browser and check out the result. So the hello world is now bold. So the tag before the phrase is called the opening tag and the tag after the phrase is called the closing tag. You can also see that the closing tag has a forward slash before the B. Together, these tags tell the browser to make whatever text in between them as bold. So let's just make some space up there at the top. And the very first tag that you need is the doc type tag, doc type HTML. This isn't exactly an HTML tag, but you need it because it tells the browser that this is a HTML5 document. This tag doesn't require a closing tag because it's not surrounding any text. It's just declaring that this is HTML. After that, let's create the main HTML tag, and this tells the browser that everything inside it is a HTML. This ensures that all the content inside will inherit some necessary characteristics of HTML. Then inside the main HTML tag, your content will usually be separated into two sections. the body and the head. The head tag contains information about the website, and it's also where you load CSS and JavaScript files. We won't be looking at these today. Everything that you see on the page will usually be in the body tag. So we need to move the sentence into the body. Here we go. Now let's reload the page. Make sure you save it first. Now it looks exactly the same, so we are all good here. Now let's go into some of the basic tags that are commonly used in the head and the body. I'm not going to go through every single tag in existence. So we will be looking at the ones that are used most often so that you can get a better idea on how an HTML page is put together. Now the first tag should be in your head is this meta tag. Meta. When you're setting this, the care set to be is UTF. 8 UTF is the type of Unicode encoding used in virtually all websites all around the world. We need encoding because we need to translate the letters, numbers, and symbols that we use into bytes used by computers. You can think of it as a sort of dictionary translating human languages into computer speaking language. Now, the next meta tag that should be on our website is this viewport tag. So, you set the name attribute to viewport, then you have a content attribute. You set it to width equals device hyphen width initial hyphen scale equal to 1. This is important for responsive websites. Responsive means that the website can display properly on all devices, computers, tablets, and mobile phones. The content in this tag is saying that it should make the width of the website the same width as whatever device that is viewing it. For example, a mobile phone has a smaller screen resolution or size as a laptop computer. This will let the website resize itself according to what the user is using. Then the initial scale sets the zoom of the website. On browsers nowadays, you can zoom in and zoom out, making the website look bigger or smaller. So we want it to set by a default, meaning not zoomed in or out. Now after all these, let's go into the title tag. As you probably guess, this sets the title of the web page. If a website has a different pages, each page can have its own title. So we will add the title here. My website. We'll save the file and then reload. Now you can see here at the top in the browser tab, it has the title My Website. So that's it for the head tags. Now let's go into the body. We will just keep the previous HTML that we wrote up here so it will still stay on the website. Most of the basic body tags are based on things you can do in Word documents. You can create headlines, bold text, make lists, and even tables. In these days, before CSS, using these tags helps us to organize and style your content so that it could be more easily understood by your reader. Some of them are simply aren't needed anymore because we can use CSS to achieve the same style. But I think it's still important to at least have a basic tags that we can use in our website. Let's look first at the headline or header tag designated with the letter H. Each H tag also has a number after the H and they range from H1 to H6. The H1 is the highest in priority, is generally used for the title of the page. We are going to add an H1 tag to our web page. Inside the tag, we will put the title of the web page, my first website. Now save and reload. And you can see here's the title. Let's now also add a subtitle using h2 tag, and we will put it in the HTML playground. Now you can see that the subtitle is displayed at a smaller font size than the title h1 tag. Now just for fun, we will put in all the h tags up to h1 through h6 just so that you can see what it looks like. So h3, h4, h5 and h6. Now this is much bit. Website don't use these hashtags. Usually they'll just use h1 for the title, h2 for the subtitle and h3 for sometimes the section titles. It's pretty rare for in these days to use h4, h5 and h6 tags. Now the next tag we are going to look at it is the paragraph or the p tag. Just like in Word, you can use paragraphs to separate your content into blocks. You can create your paragraph by surrounding your content with the p tags. We are going to make a paragraph with some placeholder text. One of the easiest ways to find a placeholder text is to Google for lorem ipsum. Lorem ipsum text is Latin words that are used in publishing and designing to fill in text in order to work on the layout. So we will copy this paragraph here and we'll put it into a p tag. Now let's make the second paragraph to also by copying some more text and put it in another p tag. Let's see what it looks like. So here we have it. The browser automatically adds some space between the paragraph and other content. Now, if you want to separate your content into multiple lines, but you don't want the space that comes in with the paragraph, you can use line break or a BR tag. So, let's get some more lorem ipsum text and put it into our editor without a p tag this time. Now, one interesting thing to note about HTML is that it will automatically break lines. So if you press enter a bunch of times in your text, you're not going to say anything different in the page. And the same goes for if you press a space bar a whole bunch of times. It looks exactly the same. What HTML does it that it will only allow one space between a bunch of enters or spaces. In order to create an actual line break, you need to add the BR tag. So let's try that. Let's get rid of the extra space since it's not going to do anything, and we'll add in a BR tag. Now you can see that this sentence is starting on the next line. You can even add multiple BR tags, and doing so will add space between your content. You'll notice that on the BR tags, they don't have a closing tag. It doesn't need one because it's not used to surround text, kind of like the doc type tag that we used previously. These types of tags that don't need a closing tag are called void elements. One other thing to note about this is that you might sometimes see the line break written as BR with a closing slash. This was a requirement for the previous HTML versions, but in HTML5 we don't need the slash. The browser will still read the tag correctly, but I still recommend writing these void elements without the slash. The next set of tags we are going to look at are style tags. These tags add styles to the text that can be bold like we did in the very beginning. There are also italics, underline, emphasized and strong tags. Like we said before, these style tags aren't used as much anymore because now you can use CSS to style everything. It's pretty straightforward what they do, and we'll go through each of them here. Now let's use the P tag again, and we will make this line of text bold, and we can see it's bold. Now let's do italics or the I tag. Next, I'm going to put this on a new line at the item tag, and we'll load the page, and you can see it's now italics. We'll just keep doing the same thing for all the rest of these tags. So the next one we'll look at is the underline or the tag that it's underlined. Then we'll do the emphasize or EM tag. You'll notice that the default for emphasize is just italics again. And the same thing goes for the strong tag. A strong tag is basically the same thing as the bold tag. So that's it for all the style tags. Now let's look at the horizontal rule. This will create a line on your web page. We'll just add this in here, and the HR is the horizontal rule tag. So let's reroll that. You'll see you now have a horizontal line going across the entire web page. You can see that the content before the HR tag is above the line, and the content after the HR tag is below the line. Now, the link tag, as you probably know, links are one of the main ways that we get around the internet. You go to one website, look at the stuff, then you click on a link to go to another website, and so on. So let's make a link tag here. The link tag is written as A tag. Now that A stands for anchor because the link connects to the two websites like a boat anchor, connects a boat to whatever it's anchoring to. First, put a tag around the link text that you want to be clickable as we have done here. Now, in addition to just running the tag, you need to add an attribute. The main attribute that you need to add in your tag is href. This stands for hypertext reference. And inside this attribute, you want to put in the URL of the website that you want this link to go to. So let's say we want to link to it loads the Google homepage. Let's go back to our website www.google.com. Now let's reload the page. URL stands for Universal Resource Locator. This acts as an address that will give you the location of the web page or the file that you want to load. Now, another often used attribute is a target tag. This controls the link that you click will whether open on the same page that you are on, or it will open in a new page or a new tab in your browser. If you don't have a target attribute by default, the browser will load the file in the same page. Let's add a target, and we want to load in a new web page. So we'll type in underscore blank. We'll save that, reload it, and then now click on the same link again. You will see that the Google homepage has loaded in a new tab. The next thing we'll look at is images. To put an image on your web page, you can use the image tag written out as img. So let's add that to our website. Similar to the link tag we just did, the image tag needs a URL. But instead of href, link like the links use, the image tag has an attribute of src, meaning the source of the image. So add in that attribute. Now, in order to put an image on here, we need to find an image. Let's say on the internet to use for this example. One really helpful website that I go to test images is placehold.co. Let's go there. This website is super helpful because you can generate an image of any size depending on the values that you put in the URL. So let's just copy this and then we'll add it into our source. Now let's see how that looks. You can see the images there. I'm just going to add a quick BR tag here to separate the image from the content. And here's another attribute that you can add to your image tag, and that's the border. Adding this in will, as you might imagine, add a border around your image. So let's give it a shot. We have added a border attribute and put in 10 as the value. Another thing you can do is instead of loading an image from the internet, the better thing is to do is just download the image to your computer or wherever you want to save it. We'll save this image here. And now if we open up our file explorer again, you can see that in addition to the index.html file, we now have this PNG file. PNGs are simply a type of image file that you can use. So now if we want to refer to this image that we have on our computer, instead of this URL, we'll simply put in the file name 600 cross 300.png. Now we'll see that this will load. Now the next thing we are going to look at is lists. HTML can create bulleted or numbered lists pretty easily. Bulleted lists are called unordered lists as opposed to the ordered list that we use numbers. We are going to make an unordered list, bulleted list of different types of fruits. So we'll put in our UL tag for the list, and inside this list tag you will put all. So add in apples, oranges, pineapples, and mangoes. Just to make an interesting now, if we load our page, we'll see that now we have a bulleted list of all fruits that we put in here. So let's say I want to add the benefits of apple. So we would now create a new list tag inside the list item with its own list items. So within the Apple li tag, we actually add a new ul tag under the Apple text. Then we'll add healthy and tasty. So when we reload our page, and you can now see under the apple, we have another child list intended even more than the original list was. This brings me to an important aspect of writing good HTML. If you put an HTML tag inside another one, that's called nesting. The last HTML tag that we are going to go through is the tables. Tables were originally used as an efficient way to organize data into rows and columns, kind of an Excel spreadsheet. If you work with those before, so to demonstrate the table, let's make a table for a hypothetical monthly budget of a household. Now to start, we'll first need to add the table tag. Everything else inside the table will be inside this table tag, and we'll have rows, table cells and table headers for the column headers. So let's add in our first row, and this row is going to be the one containing the column headers. So inside the table row tag, we'll add in th or table header tag, and we'll write in our column headers now. So we'll start with the month, then we'll add in some budget categories. So we'll do rent, utilities, groceries, eating out and entertainment. Now let's load that and see how it looks. Now you'll see here that we'll have all different column headers listed out next to one another. For the next row, we'll add in some data for the month of August. So make another tr tag for this second row. And the data that we are going to put in these table cells aren't headers. So we'll just use the TD or table data or table cell tag. So inside this TD tag, we'll put in some numbers for each of the different categories. So first one we'll put in July, and in utilities let's add 1500 for the rent and 100 for the electricity bill. Then groceries, eating out and entertainment. So let's fill in all the data. And now if you reload it, this looks just like a normal table. Now in order to make it even more better, let's add let's add a border that's 10 pixels wide, and this just makes our table the outside border to be set to 10 pixels. Now we can also add cell padding and cell spacing. So cell padding controls the amount of extra space inside each cell from a text to border. Now let's say try cell padding of 10. So this makes our table even more legible. Now we can also add three rows, July, August and September, and fill in the details as we did earlier. So now we have already created our first website. You would have learned about HTML and the basic tags that HTML uses. So thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and click on the like button. See you later. Thank you.